So in class, you defined some algebraic vocabulary. So go ahead and use this time to check over, make sure that you got the right definitions with the right words, fill in any examples or diagrams that you may be missing. This is just going to be some important vocabulary that we're going to be using throughout our algebra units, and you'll be using them next year in algebra as well. All right, so let's start our notes for writing expressions. That is today's title. Remember, these are your notes, so you need to make sure to take notes in a way that you understand, whether that's Cornell format or some other format. Just make sure that you get all the main ideas and examples that you see on the video.
So let's go ahead and get started. I want to make sure that I go over the word expression. You just did an activity with some algebraic vocabulary. So let's make sure that we remember this word expression and what it means. Okay, this is one or more numbers. One or more numbers and variables along with operations. Okay. You may also remember it as a phrase. Okay, this is a phrase because it's not a complete sentence as opposed to an equation. You also may remember that there is no equal sign to an expression. Okay. All right, and so just a few things within there that you may need to verify or define. What is a variable? It's symbols such as letters. So usually you all are probably used to X and Y. So symbols such as letters, okay, used to represent an unknown number or unknown value. Okay, and then operations or operators are like add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Okay, so now that we've got some of the vocabulary out of the way, let's go ahead and get to writing some expressions.
All right, so for the first couple of exercises, here are directions. What I want you to do is to write an algebraic expression. An algebraic expression for each of the verbal expressions. All right, so we're going to write an algebraic expression for each verbal expression. So your first example, number 1, the verbal expression is 3 times a number. And this should be a pretty easy one. Okay. So what does that mean? That means we're doing 3 times or multiplying by a number. So that should just be 3n. Now remember, with algebraic expressions, when there's no symbol between a number and the variable, or you might remember this is a coefficient, that means multiply. So that's 3 times the number. Okay. Our second example that I want you to do is half a number. Okay. And so an algebraic expression for that, half a number, some of you may choose to put 1/2 multiplied by a number, or remember that multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. So half a number could also look like n, or the number, divided by 2. Okay, either one of those would work for half a number. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and try number 3. And I'll go ahead and give you number 4 as well. So for number 3, what I want you to do is 3 more than 9 times the number. Okay. 3 more than 9 times the number. And for number 4, I want you to give me the algebraic expression for the product of 2 and a number. Okay, so if you need to pause to do those two examples, you may. Okay, 3 more than 9 times a number. Okay, and so a couple of ways that we can write that. 3 more than, I know that I'm adding. 9 times a number, so 9 should be multiplied by a number. And that 9 and n don't necessarily need parentheses because we know multiplication comes before adding that 3 more. If you want to do 9n plus 3, that would work out as well. Okay, the product, remember product is the answer to a multiplication problem of 2 and a number. So all we need to do is 2 multiplied by a number. All right, let's step it up a little bit and let's make these just get a little more in depth. So for number 5, I want you to try 4 times the sum of 2 and x increased by 5. 4 times the sum of 2 and x increased by 5. And then for number 6, I want you to try the difference of a and b increased by the product of 2 and x. Okay, so if you need to go ahead, pause, get numbers 5 and 6 written down, and then I want you to come up with the algebraic expressions that's represented by those two. Alright, so for number 5, 4 times, okay, so I know I'm doing 4 multiplied by times the sum of 2 and x. So if I want the sum of 2 and x, remember if I'm thinking about order of operations, I need to put the 2 and x in parentheses. Sum is the answer to an addition problem, okay, so that those can be added before I multiply times the 4, okay. Then I've got increased by 5. Okay, and so your algebraic expression should look something like that. 4 times the quantity of 2 plus x, and then we're increasing that by 5. Okay, number 6, we've got the difference of a and b. So we can do a minus b, okay, increased by the product of 2 and x. So again, to make sure that this difference doesn't fall somewhere down the line in order of operations, we're going to need parentheses around those. And then we're going to increase by the product, remember that means multiplying, of 2 and x. Alright, so there are just a few algebraic expressions. For your next couple of examples, we're going to reverse those directions. So what we're going to do is write a verbal expression for each algebraic expression. Okay, so what I'm going to do for these last two examples is give you two algebraic expressions, and I want you to come up with the verbal expressions. So I'll go ahead and write those here. So for number 7, I want you to try 5n minus 4. I want you to come up with a verbal expression. And then for number 8, I want you to try 5x plus 4 divided by y. Alright, so you can pause here while you take a chance and find the verbal expression to match those two algebraic expressions. Alright, so your answers may differ a little bit, but here's what I have for 5n minus 4. I have 4 less than, so that's my minus 4, the product of 5 and a number. So that's 5 multiplied by a number. Now, yours could be a little different, so you may have 5 times a number decreased by 4, or the product of 5 and a number less 4. That's okay, just as long as you get words that equal the types of operations, numbers, and variables that we have in the expression. For number 8, what I have is the product of 5 and x. Okay, so 5 times x increased by the quotient of 4 and y. Remember, quotient is the answer to a division problem, so 4 divided by y there. And again, yours may be a little bit different, and that is okay. Okay? All right, so, normally we do a summary, and today is no different, but your summary is going to change just a bit. I want you to turn to the next page in your notebook, and what I want you to do is divide it into 4 sections. We're going to label this as keywords for mathematical operations. Keywords for mathematical operations. Okay, and what I want you to do is to divide your paper into 4 sections. Okay. I want each operation to have its own section. So I want you to have add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Okay. And what I want you to do in lieu of a summary today is I want you to come up with as many keywords and phrases that would tell you that you need to do these different types of operations. So with adding, by chance, you've heard us see increased by. Okay. We've also seen more than. Okay. And so, again, I want you to come up with as many words and phrases to go with each one of the 4 mathematical operations. All right? So make sure to go ahead and get that done, and we will see you in class tomorrow. Have a good night, guys.